Here we go. Get ready. Jeri! 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 Jeri and her jet! Jet! Bleep, bleep! Jeri! 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 Take it away, here's Brando.
Jeri and a jet! That has to do with our local interview this week, doesn't it?
They'll never want to come back.
No.
Oh, boy.
That was fun.
Yeah. For who?
I guess us. That's all that matters. Anyway, this week we've got our 28th episode. We've also got our numbers, our Todd's tips. We've got everything going on this week.
Yeah, but
Site-wise,
the podcast.
Yeah.
We've got, I did some looking around.
Ooh.
And you and I did some looking around. We took some
You mean
pictures.
we didn't go around
Blindfolded.
Mazo with our eyes
No.
closed?
We're always looking around so we can have Mazomanie site-wise. John will bring some stuff, I'm sure. And then Joe will have our Wisconsin Heights Weekly.
All the happenings at Wisconsin
And then
Heights.
as we just sang them right in to the studio, we'll have John and Jeri Springstead.
Yeah, and his nickname is Jet, if you didn't know. So we had to get
and we got
Jeri
it.
and the Jet.
We got the scoop on it.
We sure did.
We were able to say, one of the things I said was I admitted to him, and you'll see it in the interview. I admitted to him that I never felt comfortable. I mean, I've known them for a long, long, long time, over 3 decades. I never felt comfortable calling him Jet because I didn't ever feel like we really knew one another. But after the interview, I went and I said, it's nice to be able to call you Jet.
Yeah,
finally.
he gave us a pass. Yeah. So anyway, that'll be part of our 28th episode. And then Drew will have either a state fun facts or
This Day in
This Day in
History.
History.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's going to be a dynamite 28th version. And
it might be our best 28th episode.
I think it will be. And we also have a reverse sponsorship today again. Again, a reverse sponsorship is just the opposite of a sponsorship. So we'll have that too.
Yeah.
And that'll be a secret. It'll be coming up here in just a minute who that is.
Secrets.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it.
Hey, this is Bill DeWeese, pro voiceover talent and voiceover career coach. And this is the original Father-Son Voiceover Podcast.
There's multiple reasons I'm proud of our podcast. But the one thing is when I watch YouTube videos, a lot of times they're interrupted by commercials. Ours, not at all.
Commercial free. Do you
You know what that means? It means we don't have very many viewers, right? Because
are you getting Joe in that picture? I'm not seeing Joe.
That's true. I thought Dad was going to start off with his thing right away.
Oh, maybe he will.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, I can do
Sorry,
it.
Joe.
Oh, you want me to do our reverse?
You said you wanted to do
Well, I was setting it up with all this stuff about commercials and stuff.
So are you doing it?
Just a word to the wise. When we do reverse sponsors, okay, so there is such a thing as a sponsorship, and you could sponsor our program, our podcast. Well, what would you want people to sponsor? I mean, they could sponsor any amount, but isn't it like a boost on Facebook? Isn't that like $14 or something?
Yes.
So,
aren't you going to do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're just jealous because you're not in the shot right now.
No, I'm not.
But a word
There's
to
a lot
the
of camera
wise.
time here.
A word to the wise is if we do a reverse sponsorship, your business could blow up. It could just blow up. So if you want us to do a reverse sponsorship, just contact us and we'll do it. But just be aware that this could be huge. So anyway, a couple of summers ago, my youngest son, Deshaun, purchased a four-wheeler. And he purchased it up north, maybe about 35 miles from here. And that was fine, but the problem is whenever we needed it maintained or serviced, we had to drive it up there, or they had to come and get it. Not convenient.
That's not convenient.
But about a year ago, Aaron Handel opened Handlebar.
You can't see that, just so you know.
Oh, see, he's got to be in the shot too. Aaron Handel opened Handlebar Performance. That's our prop. Although I know Damon's going to be showing pictures too during this reverse sponsorship. He opened up Handlebar Performance at 15 East Commercial Street, otherwise known as Highway 14, right here in Mazomanie. And now we are just a few stones throws away from the best service and maintenance for all of our power sports needs. Now, if you have power sports needs, give Aaron a call. You might even find the radical podcaster there, Cal Handel, who was a guest on our podcast a while ago. The number there is 608-401-1052. That's 608-401-1052. Handlebar Performance for all your power sports vehicle needs.
Now back to our...
Why wouldn't everybody want a commercial like that? It's free, or you can pay for it if you want, and then I'd even soup it up even more.
Wow.
You could bring by some swag, some gear, some merch, as we call it, and then Drew could wear it, or other people would model it. Joe's got a Wick hat on, and that's coming up next.
Yep.
They're our reverse sponsor next week. Did you guys know that?
Mm-hmm.
And
maybe someday they'll do
Bass Pro Shop.
Yep.
But there's word, seriously, this is a scoop. There is word that there is a real sponsor for the podcast.
Don't get too excited.
Wow, a little tease there.
Yeah, a little tease.
All right.
All right. Well, welcome to the original Father-Son voiceover podcast. I think it took us about 3 minutes just to get there, but we're here. It's our 28th episode. Joe Bob's here, worked a full day at the school, so he's got lots of insights. Drew's here, worked a full day at his job. John's here. He worked a full day at his job. Dad and I, we tried to work a full day at our job, but
40-hour week for a living.
Sure do.
I worked,
I
worked a full week in voiceover and then thinking about this podcast.
Wow.
Who does that?
Not many people. Who can think about the podcast while they're doing voiceover stuff? Not many people.
Probably not.
Yeah. Anyway, we got all of your favorite segments. We've got Wisconsin Heights Weekly with Joe.
That's true.
We've got Drew's
This Day in History.
This Day in History, okay. And then John's bringing us Mazomanie Site-Wise.
Bringing the heat with
along with maybe
Site-Wise.
some of us. Dad's got something.
And we've got a whale of a interview with Jeri and John Springstead.
Yeah.
I'm saying it John right now, but after the interview, I started calling him Jet because I got to know him. That's his nickname.
Yeah. We talked about that in our warm-up and in our commercial. So we did a
Nice.
little parody. Not really a parody, but we inserted different things for a certain song. So anyway, with that going on, before I start, sorry. We're also on Instagram now.
After you start, because you're starting.
After I started.
We started.
Now, okay. Yeah, thanks for catching me there.
Before you get too far into it.
Before I get too far started.
There we go.
We are on Instagram. It is, I don't know if it's an @ sign or anything like that, but it's the original Father-Son voiceover podcast.
I have no clue.
We're also on Twitter. I don't know what I'm doing on there, but we're going to find out together.
We're out
Is
there.
Instagram like hashtag? Don't you hashtag?
Are you hashtagging right now?
I don't know.
No.
You
Anyway.
called PlayStation for
Every single system.
system,
Sega,
so I don't think
GameCube,
I have no
Xbox.
idea. I have no idea.
I
So
don't know
we're-
if we should be offering any advice.
we're on
All
there.
video games were PlayStation.
We're going to try to figure it out. You can follow us if you want on there. It's just our name, the original Father-Son voiceover podcast. So probably won't be that exciting. So anyway, with all that aside,
So maybe don't
let's
follow
get
us.
into all that.
We'll figure it
Gonna
out.
follow us.
We'll figure it out.
Anyway, Joe, let's get started with some Wisconsin Heights Weekly.
Let's do it.
Did we catch you off guard?
Got all the facts right here. So the volleyball team is 4-11 now. They play Tuesday at Marshall at 6:45. October 11th, that is. The soccer team is 3-7-3. Their next game is at Lodi.
Feels like every time we come on, they get another win.
It's true.
That's October 11th as well.
That would have been Thursday night.
They were under the lights?
6th. Yep.
Oh.
And Drew's birthday too
Little sneak,
was the 6th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little sneak
Happy
peek,
birthday.
little sneak peek into Mazo Sitewise or area Sitewise.
Let's not get there yet. We're not
Doesn't
there
sleep. Sitewise does
Is
not
it okay
sleep.
to say that you're 33?
Would you have been going to sleep when the soccer game was on?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
yet. Early bedtime for John.
Shortly after.
Yeah, true.
Okay.
John gets up early.
Sorry, Joe. We just hijacked your.
Go ahead.
That's all right. That doesn't bother me one bit. And then the football team, I believe, won their homecoming game against Waniwak Weston.
Of course they did.
But they have a game tonight at home at 7 o'clock against Belmont. And that's a big game, I believe.
Tonight, as in Friday, the 7th.
Last week.
Omunga.
Because
Yeah.
we're dropping this on Wednesdays
Wednesday,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's last week, Wednesday. But anyway.
So wait,
We might need
why
to.
is it a big game?
Because I think Belmont is at the top of the.
But we still are too big to go
Spoilers for
to
John.
playoffs.
Yeah,
right?
but for
Oh,
conference.
I'm just saying, I
for
just wanna make
conference
sure-
and
okay.
stuff, it's a big game.
John doesn't
So-
care.
No,
John doesn't care.
Oh,
And then
yeah,
I was
just
at the
curious
school
if we had
today.
changed.
I was at the school today, and I believe it was the 5th graders were doing they called it the Wax Museum, and they had people, they had various people in history that they had to cover. The person did. Then they had to dress up as that person. So if you were Christopher Columbus or something like that, you had to dress up like that. And then they had a poster that showed all the research that they had done. And then you had to wave at them, and then they would give you some various facts about that person. So I thought it was very well done. But
What was the Wax Museum part of it?
They were
I think
pretending
they
to
were
be
supposed to be
wax people.
standing
Like
there,
stand there, right?
standing there, not moving until you kind of.
So more like an interactive. you
Yeah, I
know.
don't think that they were expecting somebody to really dive deep into it. I think they were just trying to get people to.
It was a
Well, I mean,
learning
it's
show
right
experience.
there. I mean, it's a wax museum, and they're obviously not wax figures because they're
Yeah,
able
Maybe
to
they
talk.
maybe they were burning some candles while they were there.
Anyway, it was very well done, and the kids did a very good job. So
Good for you guys, 5th
Yeah.
graders.
Who was your
Well done.
favorite? Who did you see a favorite that you had? You don't have to name the student because although you might
there
be
was,
giving it away
there was,
by
no, there was. They were all very well done. I thought.
Everybody gets a medal.
Hey, I really don't want to start any
Except for
controversy
someone
here
else. Good.
because we are pretty benign as a podcast, which is fine. It's probably good. But now, did they really have Christopher Columbus?
He
Is
was
he
just saying
allowed?
figures like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if he was allowed.
I
in the
didn't. I
schools
didn't.
anymore.
I didn't go to each and every one of them, but
Okay.
I don't know for sure if he made the cut.
Okay.
But
Chris.
Amerigo
You almost have to
Vespucci.
have like actors and actresses and sports stars if they haven't gotten into trouble because almost everybody in history is in trouble right now.
Yeah.
Sorry, did I
Amerigo
just say
Vespucci
something?
was on there.
What's that?
That's all right.
Amerigo Vespucci was on there. I know that.
Who's that?
Who's that?
Vespucci.
The
He
founder of
founded
America.
Amerigo,
He founded. He was here first before.
I believe so. Or
What's
at
his
least
name?
Amerigo
Why
Vespucci.
didn't I ever hear this?
Because you were
Is
you
that
were,
where- is
you were
that-
brainwashed into believing that Christopher Columbus.
Well, I knew he didn't. I know he didn't actually. Well, whatever. I'm not going to go
Okay.
into it.
All right, we're gonna get past that. Now we're
We're
on
not
to-
going to let Chris take us down
Yeah.
this podcast.
No,
Chris,
he's not going to take.
Chris
it.
is
Chris
going
is not
down
gonna
with
take
his
us
ship.
down.
We're not going with him.
So anyway, that concludes Wisconsinites Weekly.
And you're at the school. Does everybody know why Joe's at the school? Why are you at the school, Joe?
I used to work there, as an educational assistant, and now I go back and I substitute.
This is going to sound like a rose-colored dad's story. It's really not because I'm not that type of a person. You guys all know that. But like we walk around town, and I think I've told this before. Mr. B, Mr. B. It's Joe. Joe and I are walking. I'm nobody. He's a celebrity, and they just really like him, and the parents like him too because the kids like him, and he is a big time celebrity. So congratulations, you're a celeb with now. You're even with more kids, right? I mean, you're around, and you're with kids that like at Black Earth, where they used to be when you worked there. They were the kindergartners through second graders, right?
Exactly.
And so now those guys are in the middle school and in the 3rd, 4th, 5th grade out there at the elementary. So wow, you covered a lot of ground there.
Yep. And that's all I have.
Thank you,
Wisconsin
Joe, for
Nights
bringing
Weekly.
that. We appreciate that. And
Yep.
also, thanks for being a great teacher.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Moving on over to
Site-wise.
You mean Satwise?
Yeah.
Oh, let me say,
Mazomanie Satwise.
Yeah.
All right,
So-
John, take it away.
Sounds good. So I don't know what company or if it was, or maybe it was the Village or whatever, but they repainted some of the, I think most of the
Curbs.
Nope.
Parking,
Nope.
angle parking, and down. They
No, I'll get
did
it.
down in Mazo.
Crosswalks.
Crosswalks and
Crosswalks
the angle
and-
parking. Yep.
Yep. I think
And
that
the
was
curbs, they
Tuesday.
did.
Do you
when I was
notice
driving
that-
around.
The only people that didn't.
Yeah,
go
I was getting
anywhere
it.
Was you? Yeah, I
Yep.
was waiting for you.
Yep. So the crosswalks, they were doing that, and then you said you saw that they were doing the angled
I
parking.
couldn't park when I went down to work out on the
Yeah.
treadmill at
Yeah, they had
Mazo
some-
Mix It Up.
Some of Hudson Street had some cones on it. Just had to kind of go around it. So that was, I believe that was Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yep. And then Wednesday, I don't know exactly what they were doing, but there was some people working out on East Hudson. And I don't know if they're doing the same stuff, if they're going to be doing some burying of, like they're
Power
going to be
lines?
doing the power lines out there, but they were doing some work on the power stuff. I mean, there's a big, whatever, power, no, it's not a plant, but whatever that thing is out
Power
there.
grid?
Power
Transformers, maybe.
transformers or whatever out there just before you get out of town or whatever.
On East Hudson,
Yeah.
way out there.
Mhm.
Yep, out by where Ryan Van Riper
Yes,
lives.
correct.
Yep, and the Beals.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And little side note is that I'm going to start taking my phone with me.
Yes.
All the
Picture-
videos.
And taking some videos or pictures
Johnny
at
on
least, so
the
that
spot.
we can see it. So that Damon can put the picture up there, just get that going really well, and be able to see it sight-wise with me. And then I just saw that I think we talked about it last week, but the tap house downtown.
Iron Hop is
Iron
now
Hop.
open
Now
because I just
open.
saw what's happening in Mazo. This is Friday night.
Yep.
Last Friday night. We're dropping on Wednesday,
Correct.
so it's last Friday night
Was the opening.
was the grand opening,
Grand
and somebody
opening.
was saying they were sitting there enjoying an adult beverage.
Okay.
And what's happening in Mazo.
So tonight, yep. And
They
were-
also
you can
got
tell-
food and other snacks, charcuterie board.
Yep, I saw
They're
that.
kind of like appetizers, right? They're more like that. They're
Say
kind
that
of.
again. What is it?
Charcuterie board.
I'd
You
never
thought
heard
that
that
was
before.
French
Charcuterie board. Have
I
you?
don't know, Joe.
It's like cheese and crackers and
meat,
maybe
and
olives or something.
grapes, and
Look
all
that
sorts
up,
of
would
things.
you? What's a char?
Maybe-
How do you even spell that?
And then maybe Hudson or Damon can put a little picture.
Not gonna
Well,
try.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
CHAR.
I wouldn't try to spell it.
CUETARY.
Now, when we do the
Give a dog a
site-wise,
bone here, Joe.
Yeah.
Help me out.
can we add to
Oh,
it? I
sure.
mean, are you
Of
open to
course.
that?
I'm
I mean,
open to
have
it.
to.
I
because
just want
all of us go around, we
Yeah.
see things. And
John
like,
just starts
what
it
I
out,
want to make sure is that
and we
this
fill in
stays.
the holes.
I don't want this to be either side of things. When you hear reporters on the television or radio, I want
Mainstream.
firsthand. I want it to be you saw it. I don't want
Yes.
a source told me.
yeah,
Source.
And I just want that to be as clean as possible. So if you have something that you saw or that you spoke with somebody,
Well,
that knows.
This is part of,
Journalistic integrity.
this
right
is part
there.
of his. This
Yeah.
is his
I
part of the
don't
show,
want-
and he's going to keep it clean,
Yep,
folks.
I want it clean.
and I like that.
I want a clean game.
But
So-
anyway, I'll just finish.
so-
That I
oh,
saw
sorry,
a lot.
my
I just
bad.
saw a lot of busyness down there this week.
Yeah.
Throughout, trying to get ready for the opening.
Well, it's nice that there's another business
Yep.
in Mazo. I mean, there's a lot of those places that even 5-7 years ago were empty. Now they're filling up down there.
I wonder if the painting of the lines down there was to make sure
get
things
ready for the crowd.
Yeah, I do
Could
wonder
be.
that.
Well, the
say something
apothecary
else.
place, they're
To
having
help
stuff
them see
all the
the lines
time,
better.
music and different things like that.
Well, it's
so
one Thursday a month too that they have some stuff going on downtown.
It's
I don't
part
know
of
if
the
it'll be going
Mazo
through the
movement.
fall or
Yeah.
whatever, but or the winter or whatever. I wouldn't think, but I
They
could
do it in the
I could
summer. I
stand
know what
corrected,
you're
but
talking
they
about.
have something going on Thursday night where
Yep.
those places kind of open up because 1855 is closed at 3:00 on Wednesday through Friday or Wednesday through Sunday when they're open, but they open up again for that Thursday night. So
We've got some breaking news from Joe. What's how do you spell charcuterie?
CharCuterie.
It's close.
And
like the
what
French
it consists
word
of
Yeah, the
is
Charcuterie is what I was thinking.
Meats. So like pepperoni,
Salami.
or dried meats type of that.
Yeah.
Cheese, and then extras can include pickles, spreads, nuts, fruits, etc.
Okay.
Nice.
All right.
So
there
that's
you
what
have
they've
it.
got
Now you
down
know.
there. We know. I was around. I went on a with your
Moped.
the original father-son voiceover
Moped.
podcast moped
Yep.
that you go around on.
Yep.
And I took a drive down Hudson, took a left on Mathewson, and went all the way to the end of Mathewson, which is Highway 78. It
Yep.
tees going towards Sauk. I took a picture of the hillside, and Hudson and I then did that, and we're going to keep an eye on the hillside. Not that particular one, but one over here to the south by our house. And we're just going to watch the fall colors. And we're just going to do a time lapse.
The foliage.
Sometime.
Every
Foliage.
podcast.
Yep.
We'll have a new one.
And so that maybe you want to put it here.
I also, we'll put the pictures here, Demond. And then I walk down to Mazo Mix It Up Fitness all the time where we work out and stuff like that. And there's a tree that's turned earlier than other trees. And so I took a picture of that. Really, really nice color. So Demond, here's that other picture.
How did that ride go? You and Hudson took that ride together on the scooter. How'd that go?
No, that's illegal. We don't do stuff like that.
I said I walk.
He walked down.
No, he's talking about to the
Oh,
foliage.
yeah,
No,
we took a
I was
walk.
out there, and then we took a walk around the block and saw it.
It's
And
You're
I
out
said,
there
it's
by
not a
yourself.
tandem moped. So
Okay. You could get a sidecar.
sidecar, that would
That'd
be
be nice.
cool.
Oh, yeah.
And then here are pictures, Demond. These would be the pictures of the promenade.
Oh.
Promenade. Promenade?
I don't know. It sounds
Promenade.
Promenade.
I think you can
Which I
pronounce.
think
I
that
think you
doesn't,
pronounce both
So
ways.
make sure you're.
Doesn't Dick Royston take care of those?
Yes, he does.
Oh.
Yep. Dick
And his
Royston
wife.
does, and other
There's others,
people.
yeah, but he's
There's
down
quite a
there.
few other people that do, but they have a fall / Halloween pumpkin display down there. It's really nice.
Yeah, it
A
is.
I mean, it
theme.
really
You
is
got a
nice.
theme there,
yeah.
too.
And so I took these pictures there. There's a couple of them that Damon can show here. And they're very nice, very fall-like, and really dresses up the downtown. So we
Little
appreciate
spooky.
that. And Dick Royston, by the way, just a little tidbit. Jameson, who's his grandson, he got him
Last week's.
that he's going to be on the podcast
Yeah. We've got him.
as our local guest.
Chalked.
Yep.
Chalked in there.
That's all I got for my
Yeah.
insight.
Yeah. If anybody's ever watching or sees us, if anybody that is watching sees one of us on the moped, just figure that that's kind of what we're doing. And if you
Investigative
have,
reporting.
something that you know for sure,
But
and
you didn't
want
want
to share,
You
feel
didn't-
free to stop.
But that wouldn't be a direct source.
That's
That would-
true. That's
so
kind of
you-
true.
They
But
can send you there.
Yep, they can send me there.
Contradicting himself.
Nah, kind of.
We've lost Joe. Anyway,
So
I'm so lost without Joe.
I think that was it for the.
We are
What's happening,
one
Hazel?
subscriber away from 50.
The train's
We've got
going.
49. We picked up 2 this week.
It's going real slow down the tracks right now.
And
Yep.
We need your help.
yeah. And so I was honestly serious about the if people want to sponsor this podcast.
We could even talk about a price if it's.
Yep. If you're interested. Otherwise, we're going to continue to do some reverse sponsors.
Yep.
We'll start at
because-
$1.
Because
And if that's too much,
We'll
we'll start
start
a
at
penny.
$1.
because we don't do this for money.
No.
But what we could do, though, I mean, we don't get paid anything. This is our pay. It's just
Right.
being with each other, being with you. But if people give us money, we'll boost this.
Yeah.
And it'll get farther. It'll be broader. It'll just
More people can
make
see it, kind of.
Mazo.
Maybe more
we'll put
people can
Mazo
like it.
on the map.
Yeah.
Well, it is already, but it'll put it on the map. I don't know if you want to keep going. Is there some other stuff that we need to talk about, or we want to just?
I don't think
go
we
into
could
the
just
interview?
chop. I mean, we can just chop it up here for a little bit if you want. I don't know what if there's anything else you guys want to talk about. I know that that's really open ended there, and it could be.
When are you talking about that?
What is it, Drew?
Let's talk about me. You want to know about me?
Yeah.
Let's talk about it now.
Let's talk about it.
Let's
We
do
better
it.
because you're
'cause I got-
always so
We'll have
filled
him,
up.
yeah, we'll leave him for the.
We've got
I'm
just
packed
about
up.
7 minutes now, and if there's 2 things that are happening with Drew. One, He's now 33 years old. He's
Yesterday.
into his 34th year. This is his 34th year.
Correct.
And what did you do for your birthday? I know you're a big celebrator. That's a big event for you. We didn't do anything, did we?
No, we didn't do anything.
Well, we're doing something tonight.
Having like a birthday supper.
Yeah.
Yeah. For Demond, who's
It
our
was last week.
audiovisual guy.
Editor in chief.
We're exactly a week apart with our birthdays, but I'm 11 years older than he is.
Yeah.
10 and change.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah, but we're a week apart, the two of us. So sometimes we'll celebrate together just because that's how boring we are.
And then the second thing is Drew is what is your title? You're a bonds agent?
Underwriter. Yep.
Bonds underwriter for West Bend Insurance, the Madison
Location. I mean, it is the main office is in West Bend, Wisconsin. That's where it started, but we have a branch in Madison. It's kind of the specialty branch.
And now you're going to be traveling for 2 weeks, the longest trip. Tell us a little bit about your itinerary. I'll just do a little. You mind if I just interview Drew just a little bit? I mean, you guys can
That's what
toss
I
in just a
asked
little
about.
bit too.
So
Tell
go
us a
ahead.
little bit
Oh,
about
just
your
talk
leaving.
amongst yourselves.
Yep.
Today
Hey, John,
is
what's going on?
Friday.
How was your day?
This is last Friday because we're listening to this on Wednesday or Thursday or Friday of the next week.
Yep.
So you're leaving tomorrow, Saturday.
Correct. Yep. Fly into Charlotte, North Carolina. I have both Carolinas, North and South, as my territory, including Virginia. And basically, it's just kind of a marketing trip. I go and visit a lot of our independent agents that are there, located all around the states. So just talking bonds and what they can do to get more business and send it to us and all of that fun stuff. So I'll be flying into Charlotte and then traveling through North Carolina for around the Charlotte area, mainly the first couple days, and then out in the mountains, which is Asheville and Waynesville and Hendersonville and all of those areas on Wednesday. And then I'll dip down into South Carolina for the rest of the week, Thursday and Friday, and then come back up through Wilmington, North Carolina the following week, and then kind of make my way slowly back to Charlotte, going to Fayetteville and Raleigh and Durham and Greensboro. And so
Got your trip planned out real well.
We are hoping for, well, whatever. I mean, it's kind of fun when you travel south, when you're northerners and you travel south and it's cold up here and you miss some cold. Jonathan and I and Mom, Becky, are meeting you down in Wilmington. We're staying in a Verbo there, and that is right in the middle. We're coming down to meet you right in the middle of your
on the week, on not this coming weekend, but the following.
The following
Correct.
weekend, we're flying into Myrtle Beach.
Ooh.
Never been to South. I've never been to South Carolina. Have you, Johnny?
Yes.
You have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because of sports.
We went and visited Drew last year, and we dipped down because Charlotte's basically on the border of South Carolina, of South Carolina.
Yeah.
So Damon and Deshaun came down with me, and we went down just on the border, basically.
Okay.
But we did cross over to South Carolina,
Just
but
so you can say you did it.
Yeah, but not. We have not been over to the Myrtle Beach area.
So we're meeting Drew down there, and then what? Oh, we're going down to visit your first cousin, my nephew, Nick Banta, and he lives in Wilmington area, right?
Yeah, just north.
Yep. And so we're down in the area, so we're just gonna drop down and see he and his wife Jamie and their kids, and
Awesome.
it'll be great.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll enjoy that.
Yeah.
Joe
Well,
and
hope you
I
have a safe
and
trip.
Joe and I and Demond and Deshaun are staying home, of course. I don't know what our podcast is going to look like next week. Correct? Next week, yeah.
Yeah.
But
We'll figure.
we're going to
something out.
try. Joe and I are going to do our best. So, all right. Is that all you had for this part?
That's
good
all
about
for me.
Why don't what we do is right after this break, we'll have Jeri and John Springstead as our local interview. So come back for that next. It's the first part of 2. So next podcast will be part 2. So don't miss out on that. Hey everybody, it's Hudson here. That's Aaron. I'm over at Handlebar Performance, and you're watching the original Father-Son Voiceover Podcast.
So anyway, you were saying?
Those are yearbooks.
Yep.
yearbooks.
That right there, that should be good right there.
Okay.
You know, when Pete Pringle died, his wife brought.
Yeah.
His wife came and gave me like all of Pete's yearbooks.
Oh, really?
So I have a lot of them, and I don't know what to do with them. So I have like mine plus his.
Oh.
You know.
So here's your first year.
75.
Well,
Yeah, well, okay, yeah.
It was a 70.
Yeah.
I was going to be a sophomore.
Oh my
You
goodness.
came to teach.
Oh my goodness.
And I put little cards in there for the 2 spots. You've seen those before, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I have, but honestly, this is good research on your part. Yeah.
But people
Yeah.
people will always say, now, how did you get a high school teacher that was younger than you, Todd? Seriously.
Well, and you say it was just luck of the draw. No. Yeah, look at these.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of funny because we went out to eat up at.
I'm just gonna move this
Okay,
just a
might
little
want
bit
me
closer.
to.
I'm
Sure.
sorry.
No, you're.
mean to
Don't
impose on
apologize.
you.
Don't apologize. We went out to eat once up at the firehouse in Sauk, and Kathy Brabender waited on us.
Oh, yeah.
And we talked and introduced him to Judd's mom and dad. And then Ivan said, so, is that one of your students? I'm like, no, she's like 10 years older than I am.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you get that a lot.
That was typical of my dad.
Yeah.
Here's that you can see that picture. And
Yes.
this other picture is almost exact. It's like they snuck up on you. Is that
I
true? Do you
think
remember
so.
that at all?
Probably
Yeah.
I don't. But look
There's
at, I
that
had
one.
such great colleagues. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I picked out the 2 that were, and this is my senior year, and you kind of have the same look on your face, sort of. See that
Oh
one?
yeah. So I was at my desk probably,
Yeah.
you know, and they came by and said, we don't have a picture of you yet. That's back when it was so expensive to get pictures taken. They didn't.
Yeah, and then they had to develop them
Pre-cell
all
phone.
and everything. Didn't we have a dark room? I think we had a dark room at the
Did we?
school and
Right.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
That wasn't in Stelzel's area, was it? Do you remember when
Yeah.
I went through high school?
100
a
years
lot.
ago, right?
Yeah. But they had a dark room right off of his
Right.
room.
Yes. So it was back in the art room off of that. There was those people had camera stuff and dark room. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay.
And then I'm not going to impose on you that you have to wear these. But see, there's a 1978 pin.
Okay, I'll
and
put
a
it on.
1978 pin.
I'll wear
And then
mine.
You wear yours, and then I'll put my letter jacket on.
Okay.
36 years
Oh,
older than me.
We should have worn our hair and Frau T-shirts that we
Because
have.
you guys-
Oh, that's right.
I'm not getting the shot here because you guys. I mean, you didn't graduate, but you came there just a year after I entered high school.
Right.
And how many years did you teach?
36.
36 years, and then all 3 of your boys.
Right. Graduate from there.
Heights.
Right.
So
Wow.
you're just.
Are we on the air?
We sure are.
Are we
But you
honestly?
Student taught
And I student taught here.
the year before.
Well, see, I've told the boys that I
They
said.
didn't believe you.
Did you have a different last name then?
Yes.
See, I
Yeah.
did remember that, and then I was looking through I thought it was my junior to senior year, but it was my freshman to sophomore year because there was another German teacher there,
Right.
Normark or something
Annika
like that.
Normark, just a stunning Scandinavian
Yeah.
woman. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was your maiden name?
My maiden name was Gauchi.
Gauchi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you Frau Gauchi then?
I was Fräulein Gauchi.
Oh, that- okay, yes, right.
Yeah, come on.
But that's old fashioned. They don't differentiate very much.
Oh, they
anymore,
don't?
but
Okay.
Yeah. So I got. Did you want me to start telling how I got to be the student
Yeah,
teacher out
I'd
here?
like to
That'd be
say.
great.
Don't even worry about the
you want me to
cameras
start
or anything.
talking?
Yeah,
Yeah,
please do.
yeah.
Just,
Just interact. I mean, it's
Oh,
obviously
goodness.
both your stories. so-
Before you do, are you surprised that he fits into that still?
Isn't that awesome?
That is amazing.
Well,
I had it
it's
enlarged.
really-
for
Did
this.
you know?
it's in really good shape
is,
too.
is it too big for your,
Well, here's
your
the thing.
voice? Too
Here's the
small?
thing.
Probably
I
too
found
big.
this class ring.
In your class, right?
This was several episodes ago, and I said I never, I got kind of hornswoggled into buying a letter jacket,
Yeah.
and then it went out of vogue.
It
I
did.
bought it my sophomore
Right.
year, and it was like, now everybody says, hey, you don't wear your letter jacket anymore. So it just hung in my closet. And so it's been hanging in there for
Pretty
40
nice.
some years.
Pretty
You definitely
nice.
don't wear it once you're out of high school. That's a
Well,
little bit.
you shouldn't anyway. Yeah.
Stuck in the high
Go to
school days
college.
if you're in
You
college.
might,
Yeah, you
yeah.
haven't
Yeah.
put that to sleep.
So anyway, did you go to the UW?
Right. So I went kind of. You want to know any of this stuff?
Of course
Is that
I
right?
do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
anyway,
yeah.
so
Yep.
I transferred to the UW between my junior and senior year in college, and I had done my junior year abroad in Germany, and my parents moved to Minneapolis, and then I didn't have a college to go to after I completed my junior year. So I went through and they moved to Minneapolis, right? And so did I want to go to Minnesota? That didn't sound so exciting. Did I want to go to Wisconsin? And I have most of my dad's and mom's relatives both grew up in Wisconsin. So I'm like, well, yeah, Wisconsin. And there's all those riots. It sounds like there's a lot of neat stuff going on in Madison. So I applied, and Madison was free. You could apply for free. So I applied and I got in, and I came here my senior year, and I had been
But Wisconsin had the #1 German program in the country.
Right.
okay.
Yeah. Wisconsin and Texas and somebody else. Anyway, so came here and didn't have a place to live. And so when on my application, I'm like, I don't care where I live. I just put me in the dorms. So I'm in the dorms as a senior who's had a lot of experiences. And thank heavens they put me across the hall from another senior and a junior. So it worked out pretty nicely. But I met him because my sister dated his roommate.
Okay.
So
At the UW?
my sister, yeah, and from Hayward.
Wow.
Yeah, her sister, they had met up in Hayward on the lake.
Yeah.
They had cabins that were near each
Okay.
other
Okay.
in Hayward.
So then I met him, and the rest is kind of history. But anyway, so my parents from Minneapolis gave me a car. I'm the oldest of 5, and so there was a beat up yellow Pinto that sometimes started and sometimes didn't, and I got to take it to college my second semester because I was going to do student teaching. So they put most of the people for student teaching got assignments in the Madison School District, but because I had this wonderful car,
Reliable Pinto.
right, I got to come out to Wisconsin Heights, and I did my student teaching here. And so I did half day. So Heights had a pretty awesome German program. It was 3rd grade through 8th grade, and then the 9th grade through 12th grade. And so I did I taught student teaching. I'm going on and on.
No,
and
you're good.
Okay. At Black Earth Elementary and at the high school.
you
So I
did?
went every day. I went back and forth. And then the next year they cut the program to save money, and I was just at the high school. And then, so I can't remember what the question was. So I did my student teaching here, and then 2 weeks into the next school year, Annika Normark decided she wanted to go back and go to grad school, and the university started much later than the high schools. High schools back then started like August, right?
Yeah.
Middle of August?
20,
the 20th.
20th, 21st.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So she decided she got into a placement to be in the grad school there, and the job came open, and really I just kind of fell into it because who hires a German major, right? That there were no jobs around at that time. And I was like the cheapest person around, and I knew the system, so it was like slam dunk.
Perfect fit, yeah.
Yeah, so here I am.
Well, it makes me so happy that I remembered that correctly, because I've told that story many times. When your name comes
Yeah,
up, I'll say,
yeah.
well, I think she did her
It's
student
Jeri
teaching
Gauchi, yeah.
and then came back as a married
Yes.
teacher.
So I signed that contract, and I was still 22 years old, and we got married in August, and I started teaching on the 15th of September. I mean, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whirlwind. Huh. And were you, you worked for Rayovac, right? Or
Right.
And were
After
you
school, right.
Yeah, but were you an engineer, engineering major?
Well, not an engineering major.
Okay.
My degree was in geology, actually environmental geology.
Really?
So I got hired by Rayovac, and it was really only a temporary thing. I had interviewed with oil companies and that type of thing in school, and I think Getty Oil had told me, well, come down to Texas and we can probably guarantee you a job.
Wow.
But we had been married. She had signed a contract, and I thought, okay, I'll look for a job around Madison until that contract expires. So we're going to say for a year.
36 years later, it expired on
so
purpose.
So Rayovac hired me as a lab technician and
Really?
promoted me to a technologist a year later, and with a good salary. And we thought, well, might as well stay around here. So that's.
Huh. Did you use your degree at all at Rayovac, or was that like a lot of people? It was like you got the study, but then you went off and did something else.
Well, a lot of the lab work background was helpful, and the chemistry that he had taken in geology was also helpful.
Okay.
But that actually, I was like, they told me, you're way overqualified for the technician job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I was able to apply myself in terms of the things that they were working on. And it was fortunate because it was kind of a key period in terms of battery technology, in terms of what was going on. It was just the ground floor of zinc air hearing aid batteries and silver oxide button cells coming into existence. And so I was able to get in on that and work my way up through the technology ladder there.
And you retired fairly early, right? I mean, you've been retired for quite a few years. 49 years old.
Yeah.
And what was your final title at Rayovac? You weren't a technician
Mr.
anymore.
Springstead. No.
Mr. Springstead, yes.
Herr Frau Springstead.
It's two different lives. Yeah.
Yeah. I was, actually, I had been in button cells for 25 years, and they moved me from the button cell department to the alkaline cylindrical department, where I was product manager for that. I had been product manager for the button cells hearing aid line prior to that.
So you're going to tell them how many patents you have?
I have 3 patents.
You do?
Wow.
My patents, in my background in viewing at it, the patents weren't all that important. The technology and things we did that were trade secrets were much, much more important and influencing and is still being used today. Those are some of those things I can't even talk about, but there's a process that for zinc that every button cell manufacturer in the world uses now. So
that started with
that started when I was a technician. That was
Okay.
one of the reasons I got the early promotion that first year. But yeah, it was those type of things. And in the experiences, the Rayovac patents at the time were really marketing influenced. That the marketing department wanted to use patents as a selling point for going into OEM customers and saying, our zinc air product line is, supported by 15 different patents and that type of thing.
I see.
So a lot of things that really weren't meaningful were patented. So I have one of the, probably a couple of the things that were most essential were the smallest hearing aid battery that was developed mainly for the Japanese market. The Japanese market, in terms of hearing aids, the Japanese are very vain.
Okay.
And they don't want to wear hearing aids. So we first developed, the hearing aid manufacturers developed the in-the-ear canal aid that you just little monofilament line sticks out. At that time in the 80s, that was really the forefront.
Okay.
So I learned years after the fact that President Reagan was one of the first ones to use that. So I developed the battery to be able to implement that hearing aid.
That's crazy.
But they didn't, that's something that wasn't publicized at the time.
Yeah.
And so I didn't even know that.
This is none of my business, but I'll ask it anyway. And you can say to any of these questions, you can say that's none of your business, or I'll pass.
Right.
But now, were those, you called them Rayovac patents? So those were patents that you developed, and yet they own.
That's almost the same as any company.
Okay.
If you're working for a company, you've signed off, and all that technical work belongs to them.
Because
even though your name is on it.
You think of a patent, you think of Edison and all these people that did patents, and then I don't know I don't know. I assume that they had those themselves and can make money off of those patents. But
they would have them themselves if it was their own entity, their own business that they developed it with, as opposed to working for someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you grew up. Where were you born and raised?
Oh, interesting. So my mom is from Hayward, Wisconsin.
Okay.
And my dad's from Withee. And
Say it again.
Withee.
Withee?
Owen Withee, Wisconsin, the middle of
Okay.
the state.
Okay.
Yeah.
Near Wausau? Or not so close?
Really in the middle, more between
Kind of
Wausau and
west
Eau
of
Claire.
Stevens Point.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
And so my dad had a passion for fishing and not for farming so much. And he went up to Hayward and he was a guide up there and met my mother. And I think it was love at first sight. And they got married. And my mom owned her own beauty shop. And when they got married, she sold it. She'd gone to college up in Duluth. And my dad then got a job in Hastings, Michigan with Action Rod Industries. And so they just packed up and they went over there. And I was born there. I'm the oldest of 5. We were all born in Hastings. And at the time, so fiberglass fishing, is this really that exciting?
This is very good. For one thing, he's a big-time fisherman.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh, really?
Becky is
I love
from Michigan.
fishing,
We lived
yeah.
in
Oh,
Michigan
I know,
for 10
so,
years.
right, cold
And
water
Jonathan
isn't-
was born there.
Well, and this is
Jonathan-
all about
And
you
I'm
guys. So
sorry, I
seriously,
have
just
got to take
Are
this
you
off.
kind of warm?
This is a winter coat. So go ahead.
You're gonna stop
Dad's
there,
not
though,
nervous.
right?
He's just sweating from the heat.
Go ahead.
So
This
anyway,
is-
all 5 of us were born there, and this was a time when fiberglass fishing rods were pretty new.
Okay.
And then my dad got a series of promotions, so we moved a lot, and we moved to a couple other cities in Michigan, and then we almost moved to Iowa, but we then ended up in Syracuse, New York, and Miami. So I went to 4 high schools in 4 years.
wow.
But they were all, it wasn't that big of a deal back then. People moved a lot more than they do
okay.
here.
Okay.
And yeah, so it was pretty nice.
So the last one didn't kick you out then.
No, it did not. nice. So I graduated from high school in Miami, Florida.
Mammy Killian,
Miami, Killian.
Rufus Ferguson's from there.
Oh, they don't know who that is.
Oh, sure.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Dan?
Number 21,
Yeah.
Rufus
Oh, my
Ferguson
goodness.
from the Badgers.
Badgers,
The-
One of the
the-
first-
the-
one
the
of the
Rufus
first
Shuffle.
college.
Yeah.
Famed running
That's
back.
Yeah,
amazing.
exactly.
After.
Was he in
Elroy.
school when you were there?
No.
Or
Yep.
a little bit?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
there were 900 kids in our graduating class. It wasn't like
Okay.
we knew
Oh,
each
when
other.
you were there.
Yeah.
When I was there, yeah, Rufus was there in
In
college.
right.
College at the
right. I'm
UW.
sorry,
Yeah,
at the
okay.
university. Yeah. So then anyway, I went to 2 years of college in. I went to the junior college there. I'd gone and applied. So I'm really the first one. My mom went to a technical school, but I was the first one to go to college. And so it was like, well, what do we do now? Jerry's kind of ready to go to college. I was like, who knows, right? I mean, it wasn't like there was great guidance back then. Not that anybody was, not that they were evil, but it was kind of like, So I went to a couple schools and they were so much stricter than home. So we had just, oh my goodness, I'm totally off track here. But anyway, the riots had been going on in high schools. So the kids would just walk out of schools and walk back in. So we, to put it into perspective, in my junior year in high school, we had to there was a dress code. You couldn't wear anything different than what they had prescribed. And so now I'm in Miami, which is kind of the South, and suddenly, like the first 2 weeks of school, it's bell bottoms and like little tube tops, and it is like wild.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, whoa, what's going on here? But anyway, it was
Yeah,
exciting.
and nationwide, that was about the same because I was in high school in Wisconsin here, and girls weren't allowed to wear anything but skirts
Sure.
until like my sophomore year.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you wore a skirt, if you wore a pantsuit, it had to match the top. The pants and the top had to match, and you couldn't wear sandals to school because they would be dangerous on the steps, and you couldn't wear sandals because if you had driver's ed, your foot would
That's
catch.
probably a good. That's
Yeah,
probably
maybe.
that's probably okay.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that's way off the topic, but
No, that's great. Seriously, for me,
So,
that's
I have no
a history
idea.
lesson.
is it a history?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, mom and dad talk about those things, about whether it was the hippie movement or just things changing. And
Right.
for me, it's like
Right.
I grew up, of course, around that time. I only see, documentaries and stuff about it. So to hear people talk about it and
Yeah.
your just going through that from a real strict to just
It was
the
overnight.
Wild West.
It was truly overnight. And then so I went to look at colleges in Florida, and we still you had to sign out every night, and you couldn't. There were no boys allowed in the girls' dorms, and I looked at my mom on the way home, like it was like this wasn't going to be a good fit, but we didn't know. And I looked at her a little bit, and she looked at me, and I'm like, I don't think I can go there. And so I stayed at I stayed at home. And didn't make any difference. I mean, 5 kids, and it was chaos anyway. So I went to the junior college there, and I worked on campus. And then one day, then I took German, and just happenstance, I went into my guidance counselor at the college, and he says, you have an extra period here. With a name like Gauchi, I think you should be taking German. I'm like, all right. So I took German, and then one day and I had a horrible instructor. It was very nice, but he wrote on the board, like, if anybody wants to go to Germany, these are classes you could take over there. And so a girl in the class, I swam in high school, and she was from a different high school, but we knew each other, so we were in that class, and she says, we should maybe apply. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So we just how naive. We both applied. We got accepted. I went to summer school in Germany. Like, oh no, right? And then I came back and I thought, well, that's
without
pretty
knowing
good.
the language.
Without hardly knowing anything. Yeah. I mean, really.
Tough.
Yeah. And then came home and I was like, yeah, I could go back to Germany. So I went back I applied to the junior year, got accepted, and my parents had moved from Miami. My dad got another promotion and then went up to Minneapolis. And the joke is they rented out my room. I came home. No, anyway,
you were able to track them down, without even Google at that time. She was able to find them.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the question was anymore.
So you didn't really have, like, before that, you didn't think, I'm going to do German.
Oh, I was going to go to law school.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a history major the whole time. And
where in Germany did you go to school? Do you remember?
I went, the summer course was up in northern Germany, and I had relatives up there and visited them. Some of my mom's not too distant relatives. And then I applied to a program when I was in Munich, and that was that's southern Germany, not about an hour and a half from the Alps. So that was a pretty nice, yeah.
Wow.
So John,
Is he here?
Yeah, no,
you're fine.
No, seriously,
don't worry about it.
We talked beforehand. All transparency, we talked beforehand. These guys have been around long enough, and we're going to have them for 2 half-hour sessions. So we've got another one, but I wanted you to tell me if you're okay, because we got to get you out.
Okay.
Yeah. But I wanted to ask you. You grew up where? What was your family like? You grew up in Wisconsin.
Very similar in terms of her, parents' background in terms of moving a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
My father, after the war, he was a pilot in World War II. He came back, finished his college there. And my parents are both from Michigan. My mother's from Detroit. My dad's from Port Huron.
Okay.
They met there while the war and while he was in boot camp. And he trained to be a pilot and went into lighter than air. So he flew blimps. He was stationed in Palo Alto, California, flying over the West Coast for air-sea rescue and, looking for Japanese subs, that type of thing.
Yeah.
After the war, he came back. He got a part-time job at the Y when he was going to dental school in Detroit. He liked Y work so much that the director there said, go to George Williams College in Chicago, which is a college for Y directors. So he did. And that's where I was born. I had one older brother. He was about 7.5 at the time that I was born in Chicago.
Okay.
My dad graduated then, was working with the Chicago Y as a youth director, was given a promotion to go to Minneapolis for the program director there. So I think I was in 2nd grade when we moved to Milwaukee, and he went to the downtown Metropolitan Y there as assistant director. And we were there for like 4 years. And then I think I was in 6th grade, he went to Beloit Y as the director of the Beloit Y. The unique thing about the Beloit Y, it's the first YMCA in the state of Wisconsin that was built as a family Y. Oh. And so he actually got that job when the building was about half done, so he completed that Y. And just like Jeri, when I was in college, my moved away, and my parents went to Washington, D.C.,
Okay.
and he was director of the downtown YMCA in Washington, D.C., just 2 blocks from the White House.
That was cool.
He was in charge of tearing that building down and getting all the residents out, and then he built the new Metropolitan YMCA in D.C. So he worked there. I think he finished up at the Silver Spring YMCA, retired, then they asked him back because I think the director of that Y became ill, and so he filled in for another year. So I think he worked into his 70s with the YMCA.
YMCA stands for Young Men's Christian Association.
Right.
And is that what you're saying is that was the first family one, not just for
Yes.
young men?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. The Beloit Y was the first family YMCA
I
that
see.
was for all families, men and women and everything.
Interesting.
You know, the old Ys at that time, and even the previous Y in Beloit at the time, if you went there, it'd be like, same thing. You swam without swimming suits and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it was all young men. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. I
And
didn't know that.
even the national YMCA that he tore down, they had to do that in the middle of the night because they were worried that it was going to be designated a National Historical Society because Teddy Roosevelt used to go and swim there all the time. And so
Wow. I didn't know all that. That's very interesting. What do we have? We've got about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
But when we come back for the second segment, I want to talk about we've talked about your growing up years being at Heights.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about your kids, and I think you have grandchildren, right?
We do.
So we want to talk about that.
Oh, do we do?
We have to talk
we
about
have to.
them.
Right.
I want to talk about I want to talk about what you've done since you've retired, and you can plug the EMT
Okay.
if you'd like.
Oh,
Sure.
all right.
And I've got to know, this is the question. Did you watch the episode when we mentioned wanting you guys on? We said, and this might not be something that you can tell us, but we want to know, how do you get a nickname like Jet? Because everybody wants a nickname like Jet.
Yes, it's
We
such
got to hear the story, that if you're willing to tell that.
yeah.
Yeah. And then we were going to have the
Jeri and the Jets.
we were going to have, you've probably heard that before, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Jerry and the
We're not
Jet.
original. but
Jerry,
we just thought.
Yeah, we were going to have a karaoke with
Could
Jerry
you?
and the
Yeah,
Jets.
yeah,
From,
okay.
Yeah.
As
But
long
we
as
won't-
it's not me singing.
won't do
that.
He
No, we
actually
won't
has a
do
very good voice, but
Really?
yeah.
So maybe we'll have him. No, I'm just kidding. We won't have that. So we can come back and
Sure.
and we'll
Can you
start
stay
it.
for
Yes,
30 more minutes?
Absolutely,
Sure. Okay.
absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right
okay.
back.
Nice to have you back, Joe.
Nice to be back.
You're too important to this part of the podcast. Well, you've been important to the whole podcast.
Naturally.
But now we're going to need your fingers.
We're going to need your fingers and your mind and your eyes, and you're going to keep us right on track and feed information.
Well, let's also bring our ears.
Shout out
Just in
to
case.
Jerry and the Jet for being part of our podcast. Thanks for coming on.
And next week, they've got a huge announcement.
Sure do.
Huge
Part
announcement.
2 next week.
And it was, and maybe it's been other places, but we know that they touched base with one another while you watch it.
Wow.
They're
Live.
touch base and they say, should we talk about this? And they decided to, and they announced something
Yep.
on our podcast.
Yeah. Wow.
That's what happens.
That's how big we
That's
are.
what
Yeah.
happens.
Yep.
People
Things
wait
happen here.
to announce things on
All
our
right.
podcast.
Yep. It's the moment I've at least been waiting for all week.
I think you have too. I think everyone has.
I'm at the edge of their seats. This is the 28th episode of the original Father-Son voiceover podcast. And up next on deck right now, coming to the plate, is
This day in history.
This Day in History. Drew, take it away.
All right. Well,
All right.
I feel like we just always do this kind of stuff, which is just wonderful. But in 1492, Christopher Columbus misses Florida when he changes course.
It's a tough miss. That
So
would
They had some other. Tried to look up some information about Christopher Columbus missing Florida, and it went all over the place about all these things that he did and didn't do, and I just didn't want to. I didn't want to bring that in.
How do
That's
they
all
know
negative.
that?
Yeah,
How do they know he missed it?
That's the thing that I
How
can't.
do you know he missed? Probably.
Like, was it like, was it like when you're in your car and you go,
didn't run into
man,
it."
you missed it. You missed it. Or was it like, because it was
As in,
off there?
What
Or
did,
was
what
just,
did he miss in the car? What's
Not in the
what
car,
did-
but
you
like when
missed,
you're in the
you
car,
missed the
like
French
when you
fry
say-
going into your mouth, or you missed the
no,
turn?
like
What'd
the
you-
turn.
Oh,
Turn. Yeah.
because you just said you missed it. Did you miss running
we
into
were
a
talking about
deer?
Florida.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't. Did he kind of know there was a Florida? He
Yeah.
knew there was a
How
new
does he know he missed
world,
Florida?
But he didn't know that there was
How,
a
yeah,
specifically
if he didn't know it was
Florida,
there, how
did he?
did he
Yeah.
know that he missed it?
Well, I think technically he was trying to go circumnavigate the globe, and so I think he thought that he hit, India, because that's why they called it the West Indies.
But I'm just saying, like, how do you know you missed? Like, how do they know that he missed Florida?
If he never saw it,
I'm just saying,
Probably
like,
based
I'm saying
on
him.
his
Like,
route,
how do they
his
even know
course.
that? Like, they just, I know that they said he had a course, but he could say, oh, yeah, we went that way and this way and all up around. And,
Well,
Never
they
fails.
Inside
they
joke.
know now
Inside
that he
joke.
missed it,
yeah.
because history would show that he missed it because he changed course and then he missed Florida. Maybe that was his destiny. That
They
was where he
did
was
have
trying to
maps
hit the
back then.
land. So I don't know. We already
That
feel
was
like we're
long.
off course here.
Yeah.
So we're missing.
Oh wow,
I still didn't get my
Time
answer.
seems
but
like it was meant to be.
Yeah. 1506, Pope Julius II and France occupy Bologna. He was nicknamed the Warrior Pope or the Fearsome Pope. He chose his papal name not in honor of Pope Julius I, but in emulation of Julius Caesar.
Wow. He
I
was
guess-
a warrior.
Yeah, I guess he was one of the most powerful and influential popes. Julius II was a central figure.
So if social media was big back then, you're telling me that he would have a big social media following.
Blue check mark.
Yeah,
Pope Julius II.
blue check mark.
Yeah, King Julius.
I was
1520.
thinking, yeah.
First public burning of books in Netherlands. Burn some books there.
Good fire starter, I guess.
Yeah, I don't exactly know why they were doing
Probably
that, but
books that they didn't want people reading, I assume.
maybe.
Maybe.
It's very possible
or maybe books they didn't read.
that they didn't read.
Yeah, they thought, wow, we don't need that book.
Nobody's
Don't
ever
read that.
read that
They're
book.
discarding them.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that's a burnable book.
There you go. In 1542, explorer Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo, I probably nailed that one, discovers Catalina Island off the coast
winemaker.
of California.
California.
So he was
A lot
around.
of discovering going on here.
Yeah.
I mean, one miss, but
Yep.
he was out trying to discover stuff.
Doing his best.
A lot of
yeah.
boating.
Yep.
That'd be scary getting
Can't
out
knock
there.
him for trying.
Can you imagine? The ocean is unbelievably huge. I mean, if you just go out into an area of Wisconsin, you can get lost in woods and stuff like that. I mean, the oceans are huge. I mean, 70% of the world is water. I mean, that's
Well,
crazy.
And this is hurricane season.
That's true.
So who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe he didn't even mean to miss
On a-
it. Maybe
on
he
a-
got
on a
pushed off
ship,
course by a
On a bunch
storm.
of wood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think about being lost on land.
Yeah.
That's scary.
It is scary.
But I think about being lost at sea.
Another level.
Scarier.
Another
And you
level.
can't
Sorry.
drink. You can't
Another
drink. You
level.
can't drink the water. What if you run out?
It's just, you never know what you're going to find. It's just like it could just turn on you.
That's true. Not good. In 1571, the Battle of Lepanto. Holy League of Southern European nations destroy Ottoman fleet in significant loss off Western Greece. This is considered the battle that saved Europe.
Wow.
It's tough, though, because, like the World War II, that feels like a battle that saved the world and Europe as well. But they already had...
At that point, maybe
they already
it
had
did.
that nailed
Yeah.
down. We already have that one.
Low panto.
I don't know what it's called.
Okay.
Lepanto? I don't know. Lepanto.
Lepanto. Lepanto.
I don't know. I
Do
mean,
we know where that is? Where is Lepanto?
Come on, Jim.
Lepanto. Is that in
It
France?
says it's significant loss off Western Greece.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we know where that is, I guess, sort of.
I think that's, but I don't know if that's a pronunciation.
Mm-hmm.
I just did probably an Italian
Can you find the
pronunciation.
pronunciation?
You could have the
Joe,
pronunciation
Yeah.
and then just shoot it at us.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right
Joe.
on the podcast
And
here.
we'll move on here. 1737, a cyclone causes 40-foot waves that are believed to have killed 300,000 in Calcutta, India.
300,000.
That's a lot.
Wow.
What year was that?
1737.
I wonder if they were talking about climate change back then with all the weather changes and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think they were worried about that back
Yeah,
then.
I think they were fighting a war. I think that was their.
They had survival on their minds, not other things.
What war were they
probably.
fighting against the wave?
Okay, 1763. King George III of Great Britain issues proclamation of 1763, which is the same year I just said, closing lands in North America, north and west of the Alleghenies to white settlement. So I think he closed down some lands for, continued settlement of Europeans, I guess, Englishmen. Not too long after that, 1765, the Stamp Act of Congress, First Congress of the American Colonies, convenes in New York City to devise a unified protest against new British taxation. It must be some sort of stamp tax.
Yep.
Yeah. How much is a first class stamp? Does anybody know now?
Nobody
you guys
knows
don't
that.
send envelopes, do you? You
No.
don't send.
Very
Well,
once in a
yeah,
while,
every
does.
once in a while.
couple, but not many.
Yeah,
What is
not
a
many.
what is a? Can you? Are you looking something up right now, Joe?
60 cents.
60 cents.
For just one stamp?
Correcto mungo.
What's a book of stamps?
I mean,
It was like 12,
What do you get,
60
24 or?
times.
20.
I bet you get a little break.
15?
I bet you get a little break.
12
on-
bucks.
12 bucks.
15
20
of them.
stamps.
20 of them.
Oh, okay.
That's a deal,
That is a
that's
deal.
I think.
60 times
10 is
6, 12.
Yeah,
That's 12, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
60 times 10 would be $6.
Yep.
Times 10.
That's not a deal.
So it's exactly
Straight up.
You just get what you pay for.
It feels like
you
a
could buy
deal, 'cause it's
1,000 of
even.
them, or you could buy one.
There
and
you
you're gonna
go.
pay the exact
Yeah.
same amount.
Feels like a deal, though. I mean, you say,
Feels
oh,
like it, yeah. I get
They're so
60
cheap,
for
you-
12 bucks.
Wow.
Wow, that's a good
That's a
deal.
good
Give me
deal.
all of it.
I think it's 20. Because they're 60 cents a piece.
Dad, you get 60
20.
for 12 bucks.
Talk about a deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
real
Oh,
deal.
wow.
That's
Well, I can send
your
No,
deal.
no, no, no.
That
you
would-
get 20 for 12 bucks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That would cause
Yeah.
me to send more stamps because I
You
feel
might
like
just
I'm
have
to
sending
send
more
out
letters.
random
More
ones
letters.
off.
Yeah,
all the
because
That's a
time.
generous stamp giver.
Yeah.
Just folding up blank pieces of paper, throwing them in a
Send
letter,
3 or
just
4
send 'em
stamps
out.
out
Yeah.
there.
Can't afford not to.
Mm-hmm.
All right. 1777, the Americans beat British in Second Battle of Saratoga and Battle of Bemis Heights.
Bemis?
B-E-M-I-S. How would you pronounce that?
Bemis is right because my wife and I, your mother, it's kind of weird. My wife and I, Becky, your mother, we bought our little 10-acre farmette in Hopkins, Michigan, 30 miles from Grand Rapids, from Bemis and Marcia Nacken.
Bemis is a
Bemis,
was the
just
name.
his nickname was Bud.
Bud.
Bud. I wonder if Bud Freeze, who lives just
Maybe his name is Bemis.
right over
Bemis.
there, Bemis.
Actually, I think his name is Howell, isn't it?
I don't know.
It's B-M-I-S. That's it?
Bemis.
B-E.
Bemis Nacken. Bemis and Marcia Nacken.
No, it's just B-M-I-S, right?
Yeah.
Oh, B-M.
There's also a toilet bowl that's called Bemis.
Wait, it's
wow.
just BMIS?
B-E-M-I-S.
Yeah,
that's right.
BEMIS. Okay, got it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not
that was
Bemis.
Bemis Nacken.
Yeah.
Got it.
All right.
Little bit of a theme going here. In 1780, British defeated by American militia near Kings Mountain, South Carolina.
King of
Won
the Hill.
again. 1806, carbon patent. Let me try that again. 1806, carbon paper patented in London by inventor Ralph Wedgwood. Tough last name.
Yep.
He was into paper. Makes sense.
Yep, carbon
Can you
paper.
say Ralph Wedgwood 5 times?
Ralph
fast?
Wedgwood, Ralph Wedgwood, Ralph Wedgwood. It's tough. Why
How
am I
about,
always the tongue twister
Carver
guy?
paper patent?
Carver paper patent?
It's not Carver, it's carbon.
Carbon
Carbon
paper
paper
patent.
patent. Carbon paper patent. Carbon paper patent.
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, and Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Tried it. I tried.
All right, in 1816, the first double-deck steamboat Called the Washington, arrives in New Orleans. First double-deck steamboat. Double-decker.
Taking a lot of people on a ride.
It's not just one. That's two.
Now, is it Washington or is it Washington?
Did you ever look up what the low pants or whatever it was called? Lepanto?
Battle of Lepanto.
Yeah.
I couldn't find a.
Well, he went right on to
pronunciation.
the stamps, which I appreciated because that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we called an audible and he went right to it.
Yep. Yeah. I think
I'm flexible.
Ready right on it. 10 years later, 1826, Granite Railway, first chartered railway in U.S., begins operations. Must have been
Nice.
called the Granite Railway. Granite Railway.
Say that 10 times.
Yeah. In 1830, the Black Line begins. So I had to look into this a little bit. It's a levy of colonists in Tasmania, Australia, attempts to round up Aborigines onto the Tasman Peninsula. By 1830, a virtual state of war existed, and many settlers were demanding that something decisive be done. In response, Lieutenant Governor George Arthur ordered thousands of settled districts of Tasmania. I'm going to try that again. In response, not the whole thing. In response, Lieutenant Governor George Arthur ordered thousands of able-bodied settlers, able-bodied men,
Yeah, that's me. Able-bodied man.
That's
to form what became known as the Black Line, a human chain that crossed the settled districts of Tasmania. The line moved south over many weeks in an attempt to intimidate, capture, displace, and relocate the remaining Aboriginal people. The plan failed in the short term, but it ultimately allowed Europeans to take control of the region.
Tough.
I just
that's
felt
a
like
mouthful.
saying the Black Line in 1830. I don't think anybody was going to know what I was talking about.
You had to explain yourself.
Thoroughly.
I know
that's
that
like
it
when
was.
the teacher says, keep it to 500 words or less. That was a lot.
Yeah,
And we'll take
you
account of
lost
that. I don't think
Hudson
that's
halfway
close,
through
but-
it. His,
You did.
his
My
attention span
attention
was
span's the size
tested
of a fly.
right there.
We'll keep going along here.
Yeah, you got to go.
Yeah. 1856, Cyrus Chambers Jr. patents folding machine that folds books and newspapers.
So the
But not clothes.
Dutchman can burn it.
Yeah, right.
What was that again?
The whole thing.
Yep.
1856. I think the listener heard it. 1856, Cyrus Chambers Jr. patents folding machine that folds books and newspapers. You got a joke that you were queued up for?
That's why I was laughing because I knew
He was wanting his
I knew he had something. He was trying to formulate something.
It just sounded like he had two in the chambers there.
Yeah, I knew something was there. 1868, Cornell University opens in Ithaca, New York.
Oh,
Cornell.
Nice.
Ivy League. 1870, Leon Gabetta flees Paris in a balloon. He was like a lawyer and politician.
oh, he had to flee. They were after
They were
him.
after him, yep.
He used a balloon.
Wow.
Yep.
You know, how fast can you go in a balloon? It seems like you even get on a horse or a cart and catch up to them. Of course, you can
Oh,
fly
yeah.
over
Yeah, all over certain
water and you
things.
can fly
Yeah.
over mountains and stuff like
I
that.
bet you went to
suppose, anyway.
Switzerland.
1871, a 16-hour fire injures 30 of Chicago's 185 firefighters. Sounds like they didn't have that many back then.
Who's that guy
185.
again?
Which one?
Leon Gambetta. But that's probably not right. I just
spell
did it. Huh?
How do you spell the last one?
Gambetta.
Gambetta.
We'll keep going here. 1886, Spain abolishes slavery in Cuba. In
Nice.
1886.
Nice.
Wow, really? Okay.
Yep.
1886?
You bet.
Yep.
1865. We were before them.
I don't know. I mean, we had the Emancipation
Yeah,
Proclamation. I'm not sure. Yeah.
I'm just,
Okay.
I know what you're saying, but
Okay.
Legally or,
yeah,
or at
on the
least
paper.
By decree.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
1907, Francis Henri Fairman. I just did a France and then an English pronunciation back to back there. Flies 98.5 feet in a biplane. So there was a competition apparently that they had, I think, in France. The Wright brothers were invited, but they refused to participate in the competition. I guess overseas, the Wright brothers were kind of mocked that they maybe weren't flying around as far or whatever. But
I heard it wasn't the right competition for them. That's why they couldn't do it.
yeah,
Tough.
That's what I heard. So
1912, the Helsinki Stock Exchange sees its first transaction. I don't know if that felt like that was important, so I put it in there. I don't really know what that means.
maybe somebody else does. Maybe that's important to them.
It feels like you're a little slow on the trigger these days. I don't know if... Were you still looking up Leon?
Mm-hmm.
How many pages do you have there?
There's just 2.
Oh, okay.
We're cruising
What
right
was the
through.
date?
1912, Helsinki Stock Exchange. 1915, English nurse... I got a lisp.
Nerd.
1915, English nurse Edith Cavell sentenced to death along with 34 others by German court-martial for running underground network to free Allied soldiers.
Tough.
Yep, that was probably the First World War, correct? 1915?
Yep. Early on in the First World War.
1916, Georgia Tech, coached by John Heisman, trophy named after him
bet.
for the best college football player, defeats Cumberland 222-0.
I remember that.
Most lopsided score in the history of U.S. college football.
Yeah.
I can't
Back when you could get
imagine.
away with that.
Huh?
That's back when you could get away with that.
Man.
Reminds me of some of my high school scores.
What was the spread for that?
Well,
The,
I mean, who was Cumberland? Who showed up?
I think I'm gonna look that up. I think those guys were like they weren't. I don't think they were like a
team.
like a real team.
I think
like,
I remember
they
reading
were.
that too.
So what was it?
Like
Cumberland
the
what?
U.S. Generals. The
Little bit of
generals,
ragtags.
right?
Well,
Yeah, they were.
play
They just
against
like.
the Globetrotters.
I think they were maybe
Well,
no. I
no,
don't think they
just-
were an exhibition team. I think they were maybe just a club or
Yeah.
here you're playing against a Division
They got clubbed.
One.
They sure
Yeah.
got clubbed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could stick up, but I think we can stay with them.
Yeah.
What do you say at halftime? I mean, what was the halftime score? Hey guys, let's just go out there and pretend like it's 0-0.
So Cumberland College had discontinued its football
106.
program before the season, but was not allowed to cancel it.
Oh. They
To
wish
cancel
they
the
would.
game
I'd like to
against
see some of the
Georgia
guys on
Tech.
that team.
They were the engineers back then.
They probably were engineers.
They didn't engineer
They
And
need to have some football players.
so the fact that it was Cumberland's baseball team that showed up.
Oh, tough.
Wait a second. The
Scrap
fact that Cumberland's baseball team had been crushed by Georgia Tech earlier that year, 22-0.
Fake news.
Yep. Amidst the allegations that Cumberland used professionals as ringers.
They needed some
that's why
professionals, I think.
they got expelled from playing, basically. All right.
All right, we're moving on here. 1922, another sports one here. MLB Commissioner Kennesaw Mountain Landis insists Game 4 of World Series be played despite heavy rain. Play ball. 1928, Paavo Nurmi,
Wait.
the Flying Flynn. We've heard him
Yeah,
before.
uh-huh.
Yeah, runs world record 10 miles in 50 minutes and 15 seconds. It's a 5-minute mile. 10 miles.
That's
That's fast. I don't know if I can ride a bike that fast. I probably can.
Yeah.
1929, Ramses, it's Ramsey. Ramsey MacDonald is first British Prime Minister to address U.S. Congress.
Came right over here and addressed us.
Yep. Let us know. Let us have it.
What year was that?
I don't know, but we probably said, Ramsey, listen, we won war already. We can
Don't
do
make
it again.
Yeah,
Don't make
yeah.
us-
Don't
Don't be
address it.
talking
Make
down
sure
to
when
us.
you address us,
Yeah.
graciously.
1931, the first infrared photograph was done in Rochester, New York.
nice.
1950, we're just kind of running through these now because we don't have that much time.
Yeah.
We'll stop when we need to.
Okay.
1950, U.S. forces invade North Korea by crossing 38th parallel. Don't know what that means, but we invaded North Korea.
Latitude launch.
Yeah.
Boom. Just a little bit of a side note here.
Okay.
That would really
Dick
help
Royston
Christopher Columbus back in the
was
day.
In Korea.
in the Korean War.
Wow.
We'll hear more about that.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Nice.
Amazing.
That would have helped the old latitude and longitude would have helped Christopher Columbus.
Chris.
Not Miss Florida.
Not Miss Florida.
Yeah, true.
Good point.
Chris.
Man, talk about a whiff.
1955. Yeah, it's on his mind. 1955, beat poet Allen Ginsberg
Heard his name before, too.
reads his poem Howl for the first time at a poetry reading in San Francisco. Demond needs to get a picture of this guy, Allen Ginsberg. I don't know him personally, but I like those guys. He's bald in the picture I saw. He's bald right back to here, but they just kept their hairstyle going. You know, he's got hair down to here. You really should do this.
I could.
You should just.
Should I?
You should. It's funny because it's just his bald right here,
And he just lets it.
and he just lets
flow
it keep
back.
going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen
It's
those
brave.
people before.
That is brave.
That's the guy that I thought maybe invented beatboxing or rap because he was doing poetry to a beat.
Oh, okay.
Both not true.
Both could be true.
1959. Far Side of the Moon seen for the first time, courtesy of USSR's Luna 3 space probe. Mom could also show the first picture there, too. That's interesting. Kind of looks like the other side. But you maybe didn't know that back then. 1965. 50-mile-an-hour gust helps Robert Materia. You might have the actual pronunciation. I don't know if that's right. Might just be Matera. Anyway, Robert Matera ace a 447-yard 10th hole at Miracle Hills, Omaha, Nebraska, to score world's longest straight hole-in-one. I don't know what that means. Maybe there's a
perfect place to
curvy
do it.
one.
I mean, it'd have to be straight. That'd be tough for it to be. Yeah,
That's
I
what I
don't
mean.
know if he could have
that's
done it.
why,
I don't
you
know
know-
if he could have done it anywhere else
that's
because
why
it was a miracle. He
Yeah.
needed to do it at the
Good
miracle
point.
place.
Yeah. How many yards was it?
447. You know what? Maybe that's
why-
how far mine went.
That's why you hear those guys at
up
the
in
U.S.
Barneville.
Open and stuff. Every time they hit it off the tee and it's like a 500-yard hole, they say, get in the hole because of that guy. Everybody was just sitting there and one guy yelled it and it went in and then everybody's like, that guy was right. Now I'm going to do it every single
Need
time.
another 53 yards, but
Yeah.
close.
Mm-hmm.
1965, Charles
shot.
Linster does 600. That's not the record. 1965, Charles Linster does 6,006 consecutive push-ups.
Wow.
What did his chest look like?
2006.
Oh, no.
How can you get
a good
past
pump
the
in.
I bet you had to go this far down. He was just going like this.
Stan would have counted those.
I know, but
And he would have let him get to like
Yeah,
15.
and you said one.
one.
Yeah.
Oh,
One.
that's tough.
One.
That's an old gym coach of ours.
How many more of those do you have?
Just a few.
Do you have any?
Yeah, I got. Let's just keep going. We'll just keep
but do
cruising.
you have any history thing? Like, sorry,
This all is history.
I know it is. Do you have any
Fun holidays.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
sure do. 1984, Walter Payton passes Jim Brown as NFL's career rushing leader. I really need to get this list down further so I have less mistakes.
And that's more facts.
Walter Payton passes Jim Brown, NFL's career rushing leader.
Yep.
1989, Oakland A's Ricky Henderson steals a record 8 bases in a playoff series,
Wow.
5 games.
Wow.
So 8 bases in 5 games.
Wow.
It's almost 2 a game.
Yep.
And they knew he was going to try.
Yep.
It's not like they didn't know it was
I
coming.
knew. Yeah.
They wanted to stop him. I remember that. Anyway,
2008, music, podcast, and video streaming service Spotify is launched by Daniel Eck and Martin Lorentzen. So podcast, Spotify.
We might want to get those guys' names right because those guys might be our boss here pretty soon.
Yeah.
oh yeah, when they want to hire us, you mean?
Yeah.
When they want to take our podcast and
Here's some fun holidays. It's World Smile Day. So I thought we probably don't have the time for it, but you could get a close up and do kind of your best smile.
Okay.
We don't need to do that though. It's also Kids Music Day, which in the picture they had what appeared to be a teacher enjoying little kids banging on a tambourine.
Nice.
I'm not sure you'd enjoy that.
Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man.
Plus, when we were in 5th grade, not when I was in 5th grade, but when we were in band, I remember the 5th graders would come in and for one of the first concerts, they said, when we first started, this is what we sounded like. And they'd play an off-tune note. And they go, wah. And then, so it was like, oh, that's bad. And then they'd say, but now this is what we sound like. And it literally sounded the same. It's like, that's what you still sound
I've
like.
been part of those. Trust me. So I know it.
Yeah, and then you'd play hot cross buns.
Yep.
Like Dad did.
yep.
could've
But I
played.
haven't. I've been good. I haven't brought my recorder up.
That's
like
smart.
Thank you. Thank
you
you.
guys voted me
How many
on.
more you got?
I think
It's also National Body Language Day. I'm not liking your body language here at the end of our podcast.
Do you have something you've got to? I mean, I know we're up against
I
the
can
clock,
just
but
Got a
I can
few
just
others here.
End
Yeah.
it here. when I'm
National
done.
Forgiveness and Happiness Day, because that's what friends do.
They forgive each other.
And then also National Jonathan Day.
what?
I didn't even know.
How's that spelled?
The same way he spells his.
No, how?
AT.
The old
H-A-N?
John
R-O-N.
John Nathan.
J-O-H-N.
Isn't that how you spell his? Oh, no, that's not how you spell it.
His is J-O-H. and because of after his grandpa.
A-T-H-A-N.
Trying to want to be unique.
Jonathan.
Yep.
Here's a couple famous B days. I thought these were kind of cool.
I like that.
John Cougar Mellencamp,
Oh.
Here's a little ditty.
Heard so good.
71 years old. Simon Cowell, 63.
Wow.
Vlad the Impaler Putin, 70 years old.
Putin?
Vladimir Putin.
Birthday today.
Yep.
All right.
That was a whirlwind. You know,
a lot.
Yeah, it was kind of a lot.
when you
Have
have
to
to
stay
speed
interested.
up, when you have to speed up your read, it's hard to, you know, you're thinking about the clock. Trust Hudson and I, voiceover, me and radio. You're thinking about you'll get better though. I mean, you'll be able to feel the rhythm and you'll just go.
Hey,
and,
Drew, you're not no account.
But I did have to hurry up though because I knew that you'd have something so I wanted to make sure I gave you plenty of runway.
I don't think I really do other than.
Perfect.
No, what you just did there. I knew it was something.
Well, I other than people can sponsor, just check it out, or they
Get a
can
hold of
ask
us.
for a reverse sponsor if they don't have any money in their coffers. Thank you to Jeri and Jet
Yeah.
Nice.
for coming by, and they're on next week with the big news. So make sure you watch. And we don't know what it's going to look like next week, but we'll have something.
Oh, yeah.
And it'll be good because it always is. And I'm going to stop now because I'm going to get the look from Hudson, the executive producer, like, Dad, cut it off.
Yeah.
Stop. I
gotta
need
end
time.
this. Yeah. Thank you for watching our podcast, as always, from the original Father Son Voiceover Podcast Studios. This has been Joe, Drew, Todd, John, Hudson.
We could finish with a smile since it's World Smile Day.
Yeah, we
And
could.
you could
We
do
got
that.
a minute. We got a good minute here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get a really long, awkward smile going.
We'll leave you with a smile. Phew, you made it through that long one. Thanks for doing that. If you're interested in more content like that, check out maybe one of these. And maybe, I don't know, click on this. It's up to you. You can do whatever you want.